Eren Yeager is the perfect example of judging a book by its cover. When first watching Attack on Titan, most fans saw him as one of the weaker parts of its story, and wished for someone else to take his spotlight role. I myself didn't hate the guy, but do admit that there was nothing all that special behind his initial characterization. Not even the fact that he could somehow turn into a raging giant. His stereotypical shonen personality was just way too over-exaggerated and distracting, at least before a certain 4-year time skip. Now as the manga wraps up its final chapters, many Attack on Titan fans are turning around and citing Eren as one of the greatest written protagonists ever made. Is this new reception justified? Well, to find that out, we need to take a closer look back at how we even got here to begin with. From the very first chapter of Attack on Titan, Eren is an overzealous, anger-fueled, single-minded machine. He becomes a soldier to get revenge on the mysterious Titan race for killing his mother, and in search of freedom beyond the walls. But one day, disaster strikes. Eren dies, but then he doesn't die. Turns out that he can transform into a 15-meter Titan at will. Neat! He hopes to use this power to achieve his personal goals and save humanity, but boom. Disaster strikes again. And again. And again. Eren's powers make him a prime target for enemies far more advanced than him. He barely understands what they even are. His own comrades oppose him half of the time. And this is all only worsened by his impulsive attitude.
Damn you! You traitors!
Now by the Uprising arc of Attack on Titan, Eren starts to grow. He reflects on the past, becomes more adept with his abilities, and even keeps his hot-headedness to a controllable level. Mostly. Everything is moving in the right direction up until the aftermath of the Battle of Shinganshina. Eren starts getting strange flashbacks, the memories of people that came before him, all accumulated in the moment where he kisses Queen Historia's hand, resulting in a final vision that leaves him absolutely motionless. The next time we see Eren, he's a little bit older, and something's clearly not right. He's finally reached the ocean beyond Wall Maria, a symbol of all that he and his friends had fought for, yet his demeanor seems anything but positive. Apparently, his outlook has changed. In order to achieve true freedom, he calmly suggests crossing the sea and indiscriminately killing countless unsuspecting people that oppose him. Now let's add 4 years of off-screen development to that dark and gritty mindset. Eren launches a surprise attack on the nation of Marley, slaughtering hundreds of innocent bystanders without the slightest bit of remorse and forcing the scouts to jump in to his rescue. He laughs after learning that Sasha Braun, a close friend that he spent most of his life training with, was also killed as a result of said attack. He breaks the heart of his adoptive sister, beats the crap out of his closest friend, and is currently on a march to destroy every living thing outside of Paradise Island using the millions of colossal titans buried within its walls.
Okay, fine. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Now, many find this supervillain version of Eren to be a bit out of nowhere, and have come up with different theories to make sense of it. The two most popular ones I've seen suggest that Eren is either A, pulling a Lelouch, or B, being manipulated by someone. In other words, the Eren that we see isn't truly Eren. Even characters in the story have proposed this. But I don't believe either of these theories. No shade towards those that endorse them, but I would argue that Eren is being brutally honest with his goal here. He wants to destroy the outside world and isn't afraid to hurt his own allies to do it. As a matter of fact, I would argue that Eren hasn't actually changed at all, or at least not in regards to his motives. This was always destined to be a solution to dealing with the people beyond Paradise, and now I'd like to explain why. So let's get on with it. First off is the whole Lelouch thing, which I'll address very briefly. The idea behind this theory is that, like the Zero Requiem in Code Geass, Eren will purposely make himself a threat so powerful that the nations of the world must put aside their differences and join together in order to stop him. As a result, they'll learn to treat each other equally, and Eren will have died for the greater good.
The greater good.
Now, as nice as that sounds, it wouldn't really work like people seemingly want it to. Eren's actions will only further strengthen the hateful propaganda that Marley spreads regarding Eldians, showing that any of them could potentially rise up and wipe out humanity with their unpredictable Titan powers, royal blood or not. And the only remaining officer who could have persuaded public opinion against that, General Magath, is dead now. So the only logical possibility left is for Eren to be dead set on a rumbling. He's left Paradise with no founder, walls, or colossal titans to defend themselves. The best way to ensure that nobody wipes them out while he's gone is to obliterate them ASAP. Now on to his potential motives. Eren has always wanted one thing throughout the story of Attack on Titan: freedom. Freedom from the walls, freedom from oppression, freedom to see/do whatever he wants in the world that his species was born to dominate. And he's always had one single-minded response to anything that gets in the way of that freedom: extermination.
You're all gonna die.
As I mentioned before, pre-Battle of Shiganshina Eren furiously wanted to wipe out the entire Titan race. But not just because of what happened to his mother. That was merely fuel to the ever-growing fire. Eren actually wants them gone because they put him where he is to begin with, behind the walls. They seemingly popped out of nowhere and forced humanity from their place at the top of the food chain into an uneventful, cattle-like way of living. He hates that, so he hates them. If they're gone, then people can go back into the great big world that belongs to them. It's a childishly simplistic way of thinking, but hey, that's just Eren. But once he discovers the secret within the basement and inherits more memories from his father, Eren officially lets go of his vendetta against the Titans, because he now knows that they're innocent. They all had their freedom taken away by someone else, just like him. And that someone else is the militaristic nation of Marley. A nation that constantly oppresses his fellow Eldians and spreads propaganda to make them look like heartless devils. Just like that, Eren has found a new enemy to hate. And he is going to kill them. Every last one. Now I know what you're thinking. Sure, Eren has pointed the finger in another direction, but does that really justify him killing so many unsuspecting civilians who had nothing to do with his oppression? I thought that he was all about protecting people. Well, yes, but actually no. Eren only sees his people, the Eldians, as victims. They're the only ones who get devoured by dogs and sentenced to endless torture as a mindless zombie for no good reason. The rest of the world has just sat idly by, watching them suffer, and only reached out once they appeared to have valuable resources on Paradise, so they're just as guilty in his eyes. Not to mention that Eren has had no problem killing or hurting other humans before. He sees pretty much anything in his way as monsters and deals with them as such.
Do you even understand the magnitude of what you've done here today?
Sorry, Dad, I'm not gonna feel bad for what happened. They were animals disguised as humans who needed to be put down.
It's a very screwed up and sociopathic form of justification, but hey, that's just Eren. Now, what about the Eldians in Marley, you may ask? Eren knows from past memories and his own personal observations that these people are just as innocent as the ones he grew up with on Paradise. He even shows sympathy for the oppressed folk from other races and cultures. So is he literally just going to step on them after all that they've been through? Well, this is where things admittedly get a little bit shaky. One possibility is that they're necessary sacrifices. It sucks that they're mixed in amongst Eren's actual targets, but he just has to let them go for the greater good. This idea is nothing new to Attack on Titan, as exhibited through empowered leaders like Commander Erwin and Eren Kruger. In their eyes, the ends justify the means, even if you have to crawl over your own comrades' corpses to get there. Or maybe Eren actually resents the mainland Eldians for never trying to stand up for themselves like the people he knows back on Paradise. They wouldn't hesitate to overthrow a corrupted government if they knew they had to, so it's quite possible that he sees them as nothing but worthless slaves and wants them eradicated to set an example. The choice is yours to pick. Now I know I said that I don't believe Eren is being manipulated, because I don't. But I do believe that he is being influenced. You see, the Attack Titan shifter, more than any other Titan it seems, has a strong connection to the memories of its past users, and they've obviously had an incredible toll on poor little Yeager's mental state. There are minor details scattered throughout the story supporting this, like how Eren starts referring to Titans as fellow patriots similar to Kruger, or how he conveniently changes his hairstyle to somewhat match that of the Warhammer Titan right after obtaining her powers.
Coincidence? I think not!
But more importantly are the years of pain inherited from Grisha, losing his sister, first wife, fellow restorationists, and the trust of his own son to Marley's rule? That's way more than enough to drive a grown man insane. Stack that on top of Eren's quenchless thirst for freedom and a tendency to dehumanize his opposition, and you get an absolute monster. There's also the fact that Eren seems to be influenced by himself in a way. At one point he explains that he saw his own future memories through the vision that he got by kissing Astoria's hand, which is kinda weird, but I'd prefer to save mental time travel discussions for another video. Either way, it seems to be exactly what Eren wanted to see, and may or may not confirm a dark ending for the Attack on Titan story. Now, while this may just be me looking a bit too deep into things, I see Eren's multiple inherited Titans and their predecessors as a metaphor for how burdening the past can be. He currently holds the most powers of any Titan shifter, and by proxy, the most memories. He knows the dark history of the world better than anybody else, and the opinions of those he's consumed coincidentally align with his own bias. For example, Eren has always been patriotic. Now that patriotism is significantly magnified by the will of the Eldian restorationist who preceded him. He's always wanted to be seen as a valuable heroic figure, and the Founding Titan makes him the most valuable shifter of them all.
Convenient.
Since we don't know much about the previous Warhammer holder's personality, I can't say much about her contribution aside from a cool new power-up. But regardless, my point still stands. Eren's influences are like a closed-in echo chamber, making them bad for his already self-entitled way of thinking. We all know that getting too much of what you want can eventually give you a big head. Or entire Titan body in this case. Now you could argue that Eren has his beliefs in the first place because he was always destined to inherit his specific Titan powers. Since we now know that time travel and a special bonding power known as the Paths play a significant role in AOT's mythos. But again, that's a discussion for another time. I just personally hope that this whole memory thing comes back in some way during the conclusion to Attack on Titan. Then it would give overlooked plot elements like whoever the heck the Warhammer Titan was some actual plot relevance. Just wanted to put that out there. I'd also like to talk about the whole rumbling thing itself for a bit. I'm no fan of mass genocide, but Eren seems to have no other choice when you think about it. In order to secure the freedom and safety of everyone on Paradise, he has to wipe out the opposition that's slowly but surely advancing over them. That doesn't mean it's right, that doesn't mean Eren will have no regrets afterwards, but it's basically an either us or them scenario at this point. All because war inherently makes you abandon your humanity. Of course, that brings us to the issue of how it all ends. Does Eren really go through with the rumbling? Can he even be stopped? The scouts and warriors may have put aside their differences in order to form an alliance, but Eren is stronger than ever at this point. The Colossal Titan is like the size of a squirrel compared to him, and even if they can put up a fair fight against the guy, what makes you think that they want to? Their best soldier may or may not be enslaved to him by her Ackerman instincts, and if he's killed, then what stops the rest of the world from straight up annihilating Paradise? I don't know about you, but this finale setup has my head spinning. Eren is unrefutably the villain at this point. The so-called good guys are pretty much stuck in a no-win situation, and as we've clearly seen in the past, the only way through one of those is with a big gamble and a lot of sacrifices. In conclusion, Eren Yeager has not changed. He's matured and become more open to the outlook of others, but his desire to escape from captivity forever remains dormant, and I just find that so ironically pleasing. To somehow have a character who's grown so much and not grown at the same time. His eye-rolling, never-give-up shonen protagonist persona was actually the perfect template for a cold, self-centered antagonist all along, and we never realized it. Because when you take an indestructible passion like that, and apply it to a story as dark and realistic as Attack on Titan, you might just end up with something truly terrifying. But hey, that's just Eren.
Well, because he thought it was good sport, because some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.